Hello, YouTube and NFL fans. This is Jesse. I'm going to be looking at the NFL draft today. It's coming up on Thursday, April 27th is going to be the first round. So we're going to start looking at today picks 1 through 10. And then tomorrow I'm going to give you picks 11 through 20 and then picks 21 through 32 on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're going to take a look at sleepers or people of interest that I'm kind of following. Just kind of show you, this is my 32 list mock draft, and you'll hear me rattling some papers around. This is something out of the newspaper that just kind of gives specifics about players in the draft, and I'll be kind of referring back to that. There's a lot of information that's out there. And folks, I'm not an expert in this by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a football fan. I've been watching American football for over 40 years. I watch just about every pro game there is on. I watch a lot of college as well. It's kind of my weekend ritual. I'll get up in the morning and I'll watch European football, and then about noon I'll flip it over and start watching American football. Hell, I was even watching it today on Sunday. They were doing replays of one of the NFL weeks last year, and so I was watching that. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and get in and look at picks 1 through 10. The first pick in the draft for 2017 is going to be the Cleveland Browns, and the consensus pick on that is a defensive end out of Texas A&M, Myles Garrett. He's 6'4", 277 pounds. This is kind of what it says about him. He is an All-American, one of the best pass rushers in the country, and he does have some injury problems. But when I did some research on it, they're not major injuries. It's just kind of recurring things. I think Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator at Cleveland, is going to be able to coach this guy up, and they are going to get a premier pass rusher. Warren Sapp, a Hall of Fame defensive tackle, is not sold on him. He said he watched the film on him, and he would only play about 4 or 5 downs a game. The rest of the time he would kind of fluff off. I felt the same way about Jadeveon Clowney. I was really kind of disappointed when the Texans took him with the first pick, and it was kind of, the proof was in the pudding. The first couple of years injuries were a problem. His work ethic wasn't there, but last year he turned it around, and I think if there are any issues with Myles Garrett, that Greg Williams would do a quick fix on those things, and that will not be a problem. The second pick in the draft goes to the San Francisco 49ers. I am going to break with a lot of pundits here, and I'm going to say that they are going to pick quarterback Mitchell Trubisky out of University of North Carolina. He is a 6'2", 222-pound young man. He only started one season at University of North Carolina, 13 starts. He had a pass completion ratio of 68% through 30 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. He has the tangibles. I mean, he's got arm strength, quick delivery, but 13 starts. I'm just not sold on the guy. I watched him play a lot. He's got that stuff there, but 13 starts, you really can't say this is the man that you want to draft to come in and going to be. He's not Andrew Luck. He's not going to walk in and be a first-day starter. He just doesn't have those kind of tangibles or those kind of skills. And I hear a lot of people saying, Mitch Trubisky, the Browns need to take him. They need to trade up and take him. They need to take him with number 12 if he's available. I don't get it. I've said this numerous times, and I'll say it again. The Browns need help in so many places. Getting a quarterback is not going to fix their problems. Trading up to get him is not going to fix their problems. Garoppolo out of New England is not going to fix their problems. There are too many holes on that team, and I don't think Mitch Trubisky is the fix. John Lynch, the new GM, Kyle Shanahan, the new coach out at San Francisco. Trubisky fits that. He's a pocket passer. He plays a kind of a quick-paced offense in North Carolina, and he'll fit in there real good at the 49ers. So do not be shocked. That's my big shock, is Mitch Trubisky going number 2 to the San Francisco 49ers. And number 3, the Chicago Bears. A lot of problems with them. Mike Glennon, they signed him. A lot of pundits say that they're going to address some different issues here. I think they are going to take cornerback Marshawn Lattimore out of Ohio State, a junior. He's 6 feet tall, 193 pounds. The scouting report on him, and this is a quote from this article, long, athletic, and aggressive at the line, but needs to locate the ball better. Marshawn Lattimore has vision. I was impressed watching play. I would have liked him to stay at Ohio State one more year. I think one more year would have solidified him in this kind of pick, but I think he's going to fit the scheme at Chicago perfectly. Even though they say he needs to find the ball better, he loses the ball sometime, but his reaction time, his closing speed is phenomenal, and he's a hard hitter. I think he's going to be a first-day starter in Chicago, and it's going to be an immediate upgrade for that team. Number 4, the Jacksonville Jaguars. When we first started talking about the draft, the question was who were they going to take there. There were a lot of names being thrown around, and I said this a few weeks ago to my wife, and I see it kind of starting to be the accepted pick right now, and I'm going to still stick with this. It's going to be running back Leonard Fournette out of LSU. Fournette is 6 feet tall, 240 pounds. He had an ankle injury last year, which did limit him to 7 games, but he ran for over 100 yards in 5 of those. Now, that's real deceptive because I think 3 of those 5 games he was playing against teams that were a division lower than LSU. He's a power back. He's also got a lot of speed. He's not very elusive. He's one of these guys that puts his shoulder down and just bowls over people, which works in college. It's not a good way to do things in the NFL because you're getting up against linebackers, safeties, corners that are much bigger, and you've got to have a juke step. You've got to be able to shift your hips and your shoulders. He is, one of the knocks I've heard on him is he in this for the football or is he in this for the fame? And if he's in there for the fame, he's going to be a bust. He's going to burn out. I hope that's not the case. I did watch him play quite a bit. He did set out his bowl game because of his injuries. He was afraid of aggravating those before the NFL Combine. But I believe the Jaguars are going to take him at the number 4 pick. Number 5 pick, the Titans have their first pick of the first round. They need help in the defensive backfield, and I believe they are going to take safety Malik Hooker out of Ohio State, 6'1", 206 pounds. He was a basketball prospect coming out of high school, but he decided to go to Ohio State to play football. He only started 1 season, so that's one of the knocks I have on him. But he is what we call a sideline-to-sideline safety. His closing speed is phenomenal. One of the games that I watched last year, and I can't remember who it was, he was in between the hash marks. They threw a fade route to the sideline. Hooker kicked in the afterburners, came over there, over the shoulder, tipped the ball up in the air, turned around, and caught the interception. The guy, I think, had 6 interceptions last year. Let me see if it even has it down here. No, but he says he has excellent instincts. That's an understatement. In my opinion, he's the best safety coming out of the draft. The name they throw around a lot that's better than him is Jamal Adams out of LSU, and I'll talk about him in just a few minutes. But I do believe the Titans are going to look at upgrading their safety and taking Malik Hooker with the number 5 pick. The Jets, with the number 6 pick, are also going to look for defensive back help. They are going to take the other safety that's in this, safety Jamal Adams out of LSU. He is 6 feet tall, 214 pounds, and he is, one of the things that he's highly touted on is his leadership skill on and off the field. He is also has elite athletic ability, and he's one of those guys that's kind of hard to find flaws with him. I just think the difference between the two, as far as Malik Hooker and Jamal Adams, as far as I'm concerned, is Malik Hooker's kind of innate instinct. You cannot teach that to somebody. You can't coach that to somebody. And I think that's what gives Malik Hooker the edge. And some people are going to say I'm biased because he's an Ohio State player. I went back and I watched a lot of film over the last week with this to kind of figure this out. And I think if you go back and you look at some of the footage of Malik Hooker and his closing ability and his instincts for the ball, is he going to be able to pull that kind of stuff off in the NFL? No, because the receivers are bigger, faster than what he saw in college. But that instinct to be able to read where the ball is and make those adjustments, you can't coach that into somebody. And I think that's what's going to give him the edge. The Jets are going to get an immediate upgrade by taking Jamal Adams there with the number 6 pick. Number 7 is the Los Angeles Chargers. Yes, I did say that right. And I'm saying they are going to take the other big defensive end in this draft, Solomon Thomas out of Stanford. He's 6'3", 273 pounds. He was the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year, and if you're not familiar with the colleges, Pac-12 is the Pacific 12 Conference. He was their Defensive Player of the Year. This is the scouting report. Gets rid of blockers with strength and quickness, though he might need to add some bulk and power to handle massive NFL linemen. So that's really the big kind of knock on him is he needs to get stronger. At 273, you say, well, how can he get bigger? He's got to give muscle mass there. He's got to bulk up, especially his lower extremities, his legs, his hips. Last year, the Chargers drafted with their first pick defensive end Joey Bosa out of Ohio State, and even though he held out for the first, I believe it was 4 games of the season, he turned in a Defensive Rookie of the Year campaign last year. I think you put Solomon Thomas there on the other side, that is going to solidify the Chargers' defensive line for years to come. You get strong defensive tackles in there. You got these 2 young guys there as your edge rushers. It's going to cause major problems for anybody going up against the Chargers. The number 8 pick, the Carolina Panthers. Yes, this is one of my teams. I watch the Panthers a lot. I mean, I live 2 hours from Charlotte. I actually have a Panthers tattoo. Long story about that, but it's to honor one of my former students. I think they are going to go long-term here. I think they are going to draft running back Christian McCaffrey out of Stanford, 5'11", 202 pounds. This guy, he's one of these guys, where do you put him? I mean, he set the record for NCAA record for all-purpose yards in 2015. He rushed, caught, punt return, kick return for 3,864 yards. I mean, think about that. He was a receiver, he was a punt returner, he was a kick returner, and a running back. 3,864 yards. That's passing quarterback numbers. He was injured last year. He had some problems. I believe it was an ankle injury, but he still was able to rush for over 1,600 yards. Carolina's starting running back is Jonathan Stewart. He's 30. 30 is old for a running back. You get beat up, you get hurt, and Stewart has had a problem with injuries in the past. They also have a couple of what we call little scat backs. They're not guys that you can sit down and run between the tackles. They also have a need for a slot receiver. McCaffrey gives them all of that. One of the questions is, who's going to be the punt returner and kick returner? Last year it was Teddy Ginn. Teddy Ginn's gone. McCaffrey fills that need for them, and I will not be shocked at all if the general manager, Gettleman, takes Christian McCaffrey with the number 8 pick. Number 9 is the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think what we're going to see there, let me find this guy, is defensive end Jonathan Allen out of Alabama, 6'3", 286 pounds. He was actually a Heisman candidate in 2016. He won 2 Defensive Players of the Year awards. He is, and this is, I'm going to give you the quote on this thing, a fundamentally sound and furious competitor. He can play inside and out, but not ideal length on the edge. What that means is arm length. He's a very compact, strong player, but you need to be able to make yourself a big wall, and that's the big knock on Jonathan Allen. But I do believe he is going to be available at number 9 for the Bengals, and they're going to take him there to solidify their line. Last pick that I'm going to look at today is the Buffalo Bills. Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback at Buffalo. Sammy Watkins is one of their receivers. They do not have another receiver to kind of put with him, and I think they are going to address this with that number 10 pick. I believe they are going to take wide receiver Mike Williams out of Clemson. He is 6'4", 218 pounds. He missed the 2015 season with a serious neck injury. If there's one caution I would put on him, it is that. That neck injury. But he did come back last year. He had 98 catches, 1,361 yards, and 11 touchdowns. The scouting report on him says he is big, strong, and fast, with the ability to come down with passes in close coverage, and he drops very few. And this is actually the outlook that they have. First receiver off the board, and I agree with that. I think he is going to go with the number 1 pick to the Buffalo Bills. I think if you look at this, probably the biggest shock that anyone would say is what I'm saying at number 2, Mitch Trubisky. I feel like he's a high risk, high reward player, and what I mean by that, there's a huge risk taking him in the first round. I honestly believe that. I've watched on NFL Channel. I've watched his combine footage. I've watched him work out with different coaches. I watched him play at North Carolina. There's a lot of positives there, but there's a lot of questions there for a starting NFL quarterback. Does he have the size? Yes. Does he have the arm strength? Yes. Does he have the comfort level to be able to do that? One of the things I've heard a lot of quarterbacks say after their first year in the league, the game's a lot faster. And with 13 starts under his belt, he spent the previous 2 years as a backup to Marquise Williams, who, if I understand correctly, is a backup somewhere in the NFL. I'm not even sure. I should have looked to see where he's at, but I'm not even sure where he's at. So he wasn't good enough at that point to bump Marquise Williams off of the starting position. He kind of got it, not necessarily by default, but after Marquise graduated, then Trubisky took over as the quarterback. And he did good. But are you willing to put the hands of your franchise in a young man's hands like that? I think John Lynch, I think Kyle Shanahan would take that risk because there's a lot of potential there. They've got some wiggle room. The Browns, and I know I hear this a lot, and I'm going to say this again, the Browns are projected right now to be 0-16 next year. So worst case scenario, they're going to have at least a top 5 pick next year. Probably the number 1 pick again next year. The quarterback class coming out next year, there's some really solid guys in there that you could, if you see that Cody Kessler, if you see that Brock Osweiler are not going to be able to perform at the level that you want, that you could take that risk. But you've got so many gaps to deal with in the Cleveland Brown organization. Deal with those first. You've got Brock Osweiler, who this time last year was the football god incarnate coming out of Denver because he went 5-2 when Peyton Manning got hurt. And then he goes to Texans and falls flat on his face. That's why he ends up getting basically pushed off to the side in Cleveland. But he's not a bad quarterback. You've got coaches there that I think can bring these guys up. They're going to be serviceable. Are they going to be Andrew Luck? Are they going to be Steve Young? Are they going to be Joe Montana? No, they're not. Can they help Cleveland win football games? Yes, they can. And if you put another quarterback in there with all these other pieces missing in Cleveland, it's going to cause that team to continue to struggle. And I don't want to see that. I'm a Browns fan. I've been a Browns fan for almost 45 years. I want to see the team do good. So that's my first 10 picks. That's where I'm looking at on Monday. We will look at picks 11 through 20. I'll take you through the next round, so to speak, to get us through that first round. Folks, I hope you like what I'm doing. Give me your feedback. What do you think of my selections? Do you think I'm going out on a limb here? Do you think I'm picking the wrong players? Give me some feedback. Give me some ideas. What are you thinking? The draft is on Thursday. We're going to all be proven right or wrong in the end. If you like what I'm doing, go ahead and hit a like down there. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and do so. I enjoy talking about this. I'm going to continue to do this. I hope that I can get some people following along. But either way it goes, I'm going to do it because I love doing it. But either way it goes for me, I think that it's a great way for me to share my passion in the game. And either way it goes, though, I hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.